So hey guys, today we're going to be deck building with the Ashen cards. But specifically, I think a lot of these Ashen cards are just pretty bad, so we'll probably just be using mostly just Veidos. But if we were to look at these cards, there are some useful aspects to them, but kind of also not really. So the main idea, I guess, behind Ashen to an extent is I don't know. Veidos just hates field spells, I guess. But aside from that, the other thing is to do fusion summons, and these fusion summons specifically are kind of awkward because your fusion spell is, I think, what was it? This one? No, it wasn't that one. Um, which one was it? Extinguishing the Ashened. This is weird because you banish this card from your graveyard, then perform a fusion summon, and yeah, there are no real good targets for extinguishing the Ashen because they're no good like Pyro Fusion monsters. Honestly, you could argue the best Pyro Fusion monsters are these two and or Pyro Phoenix, like one of the three. I think there might not even be another effect monster Pyro monster, or it might as well have no effect because the effect is so bad and I just don't remember it because I do vaguely remember checking them. And it was just those three that were relevant. Everything else didn't look relevant at all. But you know, maybe you can FTK with this or something. But all right. The other thing is Ashen to Endlessness is like super poly on the opposite of crack. So you need like so many conditions to be fulfilled that's like utterly unreasonable. So this is a trap. So this has to be set for a turn. So we need Ashen to Endlessness to be set for one turn, and this needs to essentially, for us to super poly, we need it to happen on a turn after we set Ashen to Endlessness. And then after that, we need to have Obsidian, the Ashened City. We need this activated on the field, and then we need, well, potentially Veidos, but you don't necessarily need Veidos because you can technically just make Embers of the Ashened to super poly for 2. But this also requires technically your opponent to control monsters as well, so it becomes like even more dumb. But assuming we're going first, turn 1, the soonest that we can activate Ashen to Endlessness here is going to be turn 3. But the issue is that on turn 2, Ashen to Endlessness will have to be set, and we can't super poly with our opponent's field till turn 3. So this can be removed on turn 2. So that's awkward. Then if we look at it from another perspective, if we were going second, we can technically Veidos, set this, and then activate Obsidian, and then activate Ashen to Endlessness on turn 2, except same problem to an extent. Well, this was set on our opponent's turn, and that means a few things. This would be activated on like a field spell being activated. So let's assume, for example, maybe it's the Gimmick Puppet field spell, a Therion field spell. It doesn't really matter. Usually field spells are going to be activated near the start of the turn. So that means pretty much that your back row here is going to be set near the start of the turn. So disregarding the fact that, you know, Veidos probably interrupted something, if we were to set the Ashen to Endlessness here, it'll probably be removed in this case as well. So in what case can you super easily apply like Obsidian plus Ashen to Endlessness to actually form a fusion summon? I have no freaking clue. But, you know, there are benefits to like Ashen cards still. So notably, Veidos, I honestly probably want a playset of this guy. Pretty decent. And also now that I look at it, I pretty much have like the core of Ashen. It would not be hard for me to craft the rest of it, but I probably won't, honestly, because, you know, it's just not that great. But, you know, if Ashen does get good support, I mean, definitely considering it. But, yeah. We can probably still utilize some of these cards for just some things. So, I mean, the most obvious thing that we can abuse is with Veidos' effect in particular. So Veidos has quite a few different things about it, right? So the first thing here is, well, during the main phase, so this is either main phase, this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can target one card in a field zone, special summon this card to your opponent's field. If you do, destroy that card. Then you can add to your hand, optional, from your deck, you can add a Ashened continuous trap specifically. I don't think there are any normal traps, but now that I'm looking at it, oh, you wouldn't be able to add those randomly? Alright, good to know. If this card is sent from your opponent's field to your graveyard, you can destroy all monsters on the field, and sadly that includes your monsters as well, but if you don't have a very monster-heavy deck, maybe that's more useful. Kinda hard to say, I suppose. But with Veidos here, Veidos has a really bad level, so your opponent probably can't use Veidos to make anything too disgusting. Or, well, that is my hope at least. Because, I don't know, if I think about it, if I'm playing Ashen, you know, and then I give my opponent Veidos, they have a level 1 tuner, we make Baron, Baron negates Veidos, and then pops Ashen to Endlessness, and then floats into something else next turn. That is kind of painful to think about. But, yeah. Let's see, what else do we have cooking? Well, Veidos, of course, we give our opponent Veidos. So that is maybe somewhat useful, and technically popping a field spell is not a completely useless effect, just in general. Even if we're not looking at Obsidium here, we have, well, I can think of at least 2 field spells that we might want to pop, right? Well, I'm not really sure how useful this is, but you know, let's see. Ancient Gear, Gear Town. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Ancient Gear monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So we have Gear Town here, able to be utilized for this. And I think maybe Ancient Gear has some protection from destruction. Maybe. You control with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Half right, I guess. I'm not sure if any of them would protect from Veidos' destruction, but maybe there is something. Otherwise, you could just attack into Veidos, I guess, for more damage potentially. Kind of depends, I suppose. So, Veidos can pop your own field spell here, which could be useful sometimes. It's just a small thing, but I guess it's kind of useful if there were like a lot of relevant field spells being played. And then aside from that, there is also this, right? Let's see. Where is this? Mound of the Bound Crater. When this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add one divine monster from your deck to your hand. So if you destroy Mound of the Bound Crater, we could destroy it with Veidos, and then I don't know where you go from here, but it's something you can do for sure. I guess the one upside is that the effect to destroy all monsters on the field, it's an optional effect at least, so you have that benefit. And then of course there's, you know, Geonator Transverser. If we special summon Geonator, we need in general like a guy, and Veidos can be the guy on our opponent's field that we just peg out here, which can be just kind of disgusting. I mean, there are a lot of ways to do it already, you know, just giving your opponent some sort of monster, token, whatever on their field, and then trading it for something disgusting, like, I don't know, you'd give your opponent Acid Golem. But, yeah, that's a thing, I guess. And it's, yeah, it's pretty brutal, I'd say. But, yeah, we have Veidos trade for something disgusting, I guess. And notably, I guess Veidos also actually has a low defense line, and it can be kind of annoying depending on what your opponent's playing. There's certain decks that can't link off Veidos at a good time. So notably with I guess cyber stacks, you can really screw over someone with Veidos. So if I occupy like the left extra monster zone and then I put Veidos right above the right extra monster zone, that prevents transcode effect. And if you have nothing good to link this off with, so aside from transcode, Splash Mage specifically requires 2 Cyberse monsters, and I don't think there are any Link 2s that you run in Cyberse that can actually link off Veidos super easily. I mean, I would have to double check, but I'm pretty certain this is the case, as of currently at least. So there's that as well. But if we were to want to make usage out of this, well, how could we use these guys? Well, I'm thinking right now that I don't really want to run like Priestess necessarily, so it kind of depends, but we could technically Summoner Walk, summon Priestess, search Veidos, and then we can go into like a rank 4, I guess. Does this add Obsidium actually? Is Obsidium an Ashen card? Yeah, it is. So wait a second, we can't add Veidos off of Priestess anyways. Oh yeah. So I guess for a 1-card combo for this, just real quick, just to put this out there, we could do activate. Well, it's not like legit 1 card because we have to discard a spell, but if we normal summon Summoner Monk, special summon Priestess, grab Obsidium off of Priestess, then we can do activate the effect of rank 4 Flame Banshee to add any pyro monster. In this case, we'll add Veidos. Veidos pops Obsidium, and then that's like a combo that leads to I don't know, something. So someone else can work that out, I guess. If you really care about Ashen, I think that's like an okay line. Probably not too bad, and you don't really need to give up your normal summon for too much, so it's not that bad, I guess. There's really not much you have to give up your normal summon for, right? It's technically you can also special summon Priestess. And your other Ashen guys, I guess. And this entire line, I believe, does not lock you, because there is no lock on Veidos, for whatever reason. So, pretty generically abusable, I guess. So, thinking real quick about what we can really do with Veidos. I mean, one easy way to kind of abuse Veidos would be to chicken game or have just a relatively useless field spell, and also just to have Veidos. So let's assume that every deck currently, or like enough decks exist that run a powerful field spell that searches something disgusting or enables something disgusting kind of exists right now. I mean, to an extent, like there are a decent amount of field spells that can be played. Like maybe they're not necessarily played, but they could be, right? Like we have Divine Temple of the Snake Eye, we have Nightmare Throne, we have Gimmick Puppet. I don't remember the name of the field spell, honestly. Mansion of the Dreadful Dolls. We have these 3, for example. I mean, it's like relevant enough, but it's not like super relevant necessarily. But we could also do something like this. So here's what I'm thinking. We're going to be running just mostly pure punk. So we'll just go with what I think are some decent pure punk ratios. So we'll go with this. We'll grab one of these, one of you, and 2 copies of the field spell because it's relatively decent. 2 copies of Deer Note is fine. And then we can run one of each of these guys. We could run extras, honestly, of Amazing Dragon, but well, it's not going to really matter here. We're mostly focusing on the main deck. And then here we'll just grab Geonator, Transverser, Acid Golem, and, you know, rank 3 guys. And then emergency teleport. And we can keep it like relatively simple here, I guess. Ash Blossom, I guess, is fine. Grab. Held by. We also grab, let's see. So here we can grab Imperm, I guess. Imperm's great. Yep. And we still have more room for like hand traps as well, right? If we wanted to. Anything else we're missing that might be important here? Real quick, I want to check Bonfire. I think it only adds like level 4 Lord Veidos. Yeah. Okay. And then we have some draw power with Funk Jam Extreme Session. I don't think there's a super easy way for us to make like rank 4 necessarily. So that's decent for now, I guess. In terms of 1-card starters, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we have a couple 2 cards as well mixed in here. Can we do more? I mean, technically here, it wouldn't be too bad to throw in like Terra Top. I mean, we could do that, but it doesn't really matter. And also, I forgot, we definitely want Ghost Ogre, I think, right? Like 1 to 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, it shouldn't really matter too much though. And then if we want, we can also run like copies of Ghost Bell. What else would we want? I mean, I don't know, it doesn't really matter at this point. We could run some copies of like Effect Feller and stuff, but would be nice to have a little bit more engine. So let's see. Yeah, I guess Terra Top is pretty good, so we'll just go with Terra Top, and they'll be decent just for some extra bodies. And then we have Tekatomberg as well, right? Yeah. And we throw in like some generic stuff, like I don't know, maybe SP. Who knows? And real quick, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can target 2 phases of monsters on the field, including monster you control, bench both until that phase. Okay, so what we could do here is we could potentially, if we cared, we could go a higher card count or throw in some recycling cards. So, you know, we can banish Acid Golem for a turn because this will be properly summoned. And then we can return it to our opponent's field. And if they can't tribute over Acid Golem, you know, we can just have a relatively big booty in defense. And then Acid Golem can never get over it. None of their normal summons can get over it. And then we can win the game by deck out if we're feeling particularly scummy, I guess. And the monster we'll be giving is Veidos here. And the only real adjustment to this, aside from being like a fairly normal punk deck, right? It's just going to be the Veidos, Acid Golem, and the Geonator Transverser. So it's like 3 cards in main and then 2 cards in the extra that we adjust for this. And if we just happen to have Veidos, we will just Acid Golem our opponent, pretty much, right? Well, this hand's not really good for it, is it? But this hand, we draw 2 times, and we don't get Veidos, which is fine. Then we just play regular punk, right? If we do open Veidos, then, you know, in whatever hand, so this one, I think we can still draw 2, right? Yeah. Didn't draw into anything like too spectacular, but, you know, we can still, I think, can we Acid Golem our opponent with the hand? Maybe not. I think we need a somewhat decent hand to do it. Let's look for a good hand here. So this one draws 2, didn't get it. This one, draw 2, no Veidos. This one, draw 2, no Veidos. Draw 2, no Veidos. This one, oh, that was kind of bricked. This one, we have Veidos, we draw 2. And, I mean, it's perfectly fine here. And we definitely can Acid Golem with this hand. And then this hand, wait, can we even make Gem Dragon Drive with this? No. Alright. This hand in particular doesn't really do too much. But, I mean, we can throw in things with Terra Top, you know? Like, Boozling Gossip Shadow or whatever. I mean, it's still like not that bad of a hand, I guess, all things considered. Draw 2, no Veidos. But in general, what we're looking for is, I think we want to get 2 punk cards in hand. So something like Itelli plus Ogre Dance is sufficient. And then we have Veidos. If we have Veidos plus 2 punk cards, I'm pretty sure we can Acid Golem with Geonator Transverser and still end on interruptions. If, let's see, I think if we have 1 card, we might be able to do it as well. Like Veidos plus Xiamen might be able to do Acid Golem lock. I'm not like 100% certain if we can or not though. I would have to calc it out. Well, let's see then. I suppose, right? We have Jam Dragon Drive plus a 3. I think, right? And then normally we can just pass on that as the 1 card. I think that's all we end up getting, right? What? Well, actually, no, we can special summon 1 more guy, so we're literally 1 body short if we do that, right? So Gem Dragon Drive adds a guy, and then we can special summon it with the field spell. And that leaves us literally just 1 body short. Yeah, that's why we need 1 extra body of any sort. Okay, so that's good to know. And then we can make Geonator, Acid Golem swap. But if we do it with... Well, I mean, it might be possible to do it as a 1 card. If we do it as a 1 card, it's kind of weird. And we do need Gem Dragon Drive to draw 2 cards with the 1 card combo. But if you were to have open specifically Xiamen and Veidos, I guess there might be a different line you can take. Like maybe if you use something like, I don't know, the Zulkin might get you enough bodies, honestly. Because you can also summon Ancient Fairy Dragon, you pop the field spell. So real quick, what does Ancient Fairy Dragon say? Let's check if we can chain Veidos to this effect. Destroy as many field zones as possible, and if you do, gain 1,000 life points, then add with a different name than the destroyed cards. So if that effect doesn't destroy, it won't add a field spell. Alright, good to know, I guess. But technically, we could use Ancient Fairy Dragon to grab Obsidian as well. And then we can pop Obsidian after, and then we can summon like an Ashen guy, just for the bodies for like Geonator, technically. That is totally possible. But yeah, I mean, this is the most like somewhat reasonable way I think I see to play Veidos, but technically I think there is 1 more deck. I don't remember what it was, but there is another deck that can play Veidos, and they can do something pretty scummy with it. I just can't remember what deck it is right now, but yeah. That's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.